2017. Let us stand for the pledge, please.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Burns,
Here.
Collins,
Here.
Cottle, Herbie,
Here.
Holt,
Here.
Johnson,
Here.
Sappho.
Here.
Yes, Councilwoman Herbie.
I move to excuse Councilwoman Cottle.
Second.
Been moved and second that we excuse Councilwoman Cottle. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to excuse, let it be known by the sign of voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Ask a question.
Yes.
Because we know that Councilwoman Cottle is going to be out for a while, do we have to do this every
Yes.
meeting? Thank you.
Yes.
That's all I wanted to know.
All right, Councilwoman Cottle is excused. Next item on the agenda is minutes. You've all received a copy of your minutes. Are there any additions or changes, corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes will stand approved as presented. Item number 3 is presentations. We have one presentation tonight. The proclamation. Proclamation. Whereas African American History Month is observed annually during the month of February throughout the United States of America. And whereas today's African American History Month had its beginning in 1893 when at the Chicago World's Fair, Colored American Day was observed. Later, Negro History Week was observed in February 1926 through the efforts primarily of Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who has been honored and referred to as the father of black studies. And following with Black History Month in February of 1965 through the guidance of Robert Starling Pritchard, who was a composer and pianist. And whereas the efforts of nonprofit organizations, including those in Forest Park, their officers, members, and friends to sponsor events throughout the community promoting African American life and history during the observance of African American History Month is to be commended. And whereas the acknowledgement of the constructive contributions of African American scholars, businesses, and institutions provide inspiration for the entire community. And whereas African American residents of Forest Park have made meaningful contributions in this community as well as in the state of Ohio and the nation. Now, therefore, I, Charles H. Johnson, Mayor of the City of Forest Park, do proclaim February 2017 as African American History Month, and I urge all members of our community to join in the recognition of this most significant occasion, celebrating harmony and unity. Thank you. Okay, before we go on to communications from the public, I recognize Councilwoman Holt.
Oh, I'd like to make a motion to excuse our law director, John Wyckoff.
Second.
Been moved and second that we excuse the law director, Mr. Wyckoff. Is there any discussion?
None.
Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to excuse Mr. Wyckoff, let it be known by the sign of voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Wyckoff is excused. Next item on the agenda is item number 4, communications from the public. This is the time for citizens to comment on matters before council or to ask questions of concern to them. When recognized, please come forward to the podium, give your name and address, and then state your comments or questions. Council meetings are tape recorded for ease of transcription. Comments are limited to 5 minutes. Is there anyone in the public who would like to address council? Seeing none, we will then move to item number 5, the reports of standing committees. First of these standing committees would be Mr. Southall, Public Improvements and Facilities.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do not have a report this evening for public improvements.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Southall? Hearing none. Mr. Southall, I don't have any items on the agenda for you for the work session of the 13th. Do you have any to add?
No, sir, not at this time, thank you.
Second committee is Ways and Means Committee, Councilwoman Herbie.
Yes, I have two things I wanted to address. One is our departmental reports contained within it a year-end financial report. And I just wanted to comment that the actions that we took a couple of years ago to change the tax credit have resolved our financial problems, and I'm very pleased to say that our final report from last year indicates that we have achieved the financial stability that we were looking for, and so I'm pleased to say that. The second thing is I wanted to share with you some of the information in the Environmental Awareness's annual report. The Environmental Corps programs consist of reforesting Forest Park, a Winton Woods cleanup, and a summer nature day camp scholarships. And in the solid waste and recycling area, the citywide yard sale, the used tire collection, the large appliance collection, the Christmas tree recycling, public recycling drop-off centers, and paper shredding. And we have some new ones that we are looking into. But the results of the solid waste is we collected last year 5,283 tons of solid waste. With the EcoTier program, which is afforded to people who have less solid waste to put out, the EcoTier you could save some money on what the baseline amount is. We hit that participation in that increased 25% last year. The yard sale, the 16th annual yard sale, over 100 households participated in that. They also instituted last year and this year a truck to provide people at the yard sale a way to dispose of unsold items. And 43 households last year, donated 1.5 tons of unsold yard sale items. The large appliance pickup, we collected 45 appliances from 43 houses, many of them containing Freon. We chipped 150 trees in our 25th annual Christmas tree drop-off. The people working cooperatively that we've been working with in our energy improvements for residents also helped this year to volunteer to rake 40 yards for elderly and special needs households, and we collected over 800 pounds of leaves were taken to Rumpke's yard waste disposal site. And for the second year, we cooperated with the Phi Psi Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority to paper shred 14,500 pounds of paper. And we also partnered with the Gardeners Club and the school district to set up a stadium recycling program. The used tire household, we had 137 tires from 31 households. We have 6 currently functioning community recycling drop-off centers for people in businesses and also people in apartments to drop off recycled items. We also had 1.3 tons of litter and debris that were collected in the Winton Woods cleanup. We planted again another 100 trees, and in 4 years of that program in reforesting Forest Park, we've planted 317 trees in Forest Park. We have been working, as I mentioned earlier, in a home improvement project with 2 companies. One is People Working Cooperatively, which targets low-income homes. 24 houses participated in that, and the People Working Cooperatively spent $124,220 toward that program here, and the environmental program subsidized another $25,489. We also started work with Empower G&E to assist non-low-income residents in upgrading their homes to make them more energy efficient. And we have worked in cooperation with the city schools for an intermediate environmental club that provides field trips and school presentations to the intermediate school. We are working with we set up a teacher resource fund to assist teachers in getting supplies and resources by incorporating environmental concepts and issues into their lesson plans. And we've instituted a Winton Woods High School environmental art competition. And I wanted to mention that the savings that this has reaped for our citizens last year totaled $357,184. We are also looking forward this year to trying to set up a permanent paper shredding facility, possibly in the lobby of the municipal building. So I'm very pleased that that program is doing well, and I don't think people realize all that they do within Forest Park, and I want to congratulate them. Thank you.
Any questions for Councilwoman Herbie? Thank you. Hearing none, Councilwoman Herbie, I have no items listed on the agenda for you for the work session. Do you have any to add? Next committee is Community Development. Mr. Barnes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no report for the community development at this time, but I would like to make everyone aware that this week kicks off Burn Awareness Week as provided by our fire chief. And just want to make sure everybody understands that they should take caution in dealing with fire and understanding the mechanisms of what burns. And with that, that will conclude my report.
Any questions for Mr. Barnes? Mr. Barnes, I have no items on the agenda for the work session. Do you have any to add?
No, I do not.
Next committee is Law Committee. Councilwoman Collins.
Mr. Mayor, I do not have a report from the Law Committee at this time.
Any questions for Councilwoman Collins? Hearing none, Councilwoman Collins, I have no items on the agenda for you for the work session. Do you have any to add?
No.
Next committee report is Human Resources. Councilwoman Holt.
I do not have a report tonight. Thank you.
Councilwoman Holt, any questions for Councilwoman Holt? Councilwoman Holt, I have no items on the agenda for you. Do you have any to add?
No, I do not.
Thank you. Next word is Public Safety. I have no report for Public Safety this evening. I'll answer any questions if there are any. And I have no items on the work session for that committee. Final report committee is Intergovernmental Relations and Communications. I have no items, no report for that committee. Again, I would answer any questions if there are any. Next item on the agenda is item number 6, the mayor's report. I would just like to report briefly as related to the proclamation. This is Black History Month. I would also point out that again, each Monday at 10:30 a.m., we have line dancing at the Senior Center, and throughout this month, they are again inviting everybody to attend and join them. And in doing so, they're also asking that that people wear their dress in ethnic dress and/or costumes. That would end my report. I'll answer any questions if there are any. Next report, City Manager's report, Mr. Hodges.
Thank you. I'll report that I attended the last Hamilton County Municipal League meeting. And the one thing that we are a little bit concerned with in the Hamilton County area, and it would affect Forest Park, are proposals for tax collection at the state level. That's an issue that has previously been discussed, and it appears to be resurfacing again at the state level. So I call that to council's attention, and we'll try to keep you abreast as things develop. I'd also report that all the departmental reports were completed, included in the council packet, and also placed on file with the clerk of council for public inspection. So that would conclude my report, but I would respond to any questions if there are any.
Any questions for the City Manager? Hearing none, thank you, Mr. Hodges. Next item on the agenda is other reports. First of those being Clerk of Council, Mrs. Hoffman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do not have a report this evening.
Any questions for Clerk of Council? Hearing none, we would go to new business. Is there a motion before we start? Mr. Barnes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to suspend the rules requiring the reading in full on 2 separate days and read for the first time by title only ordinance number 01-2017, this ordinance was posted 6 days prior to this meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we suspend the rules requiring the reading in full on 2 separate days and read for the first time by title only ordinance number 01-2017. This ordinance was posted 6 days prior to the meeting. Would the clerk please call the roll on the motion?
Burns,
Yes.
Collins,
Yes.
Herbie,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Sutton.
Yes.
Voting on this tonight?
No.
This is a first reading. This ordinance will be on the ballot, on the agenda on February 20th for a vote. Is there, you want to read this by title only?
Ordinance number 01-2017, an ordinance amending section 132.05 of the codified ordinances of the City of Forest Park as it relates to the discharge of firearms fireworks.
Okay, as I just stated, this would be on the agenda for February the 20th for vote of council. Is there any other business to come before the body? Mr. Barnes?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the committee reports, it was stated that the tax revenues were moving in the right direction. And I think in an effort, just as we struggled through the decisions that we had to make several years ago, we owe it to ourselves and the community to investigate and make, and get an understanding of the disposition, such that we just review that financial status so that we are clear about the true trend and if there is an opportunity for relief. I'm not suggesting that there is, but we struggled through that time, and I think we should, at least investigate.
Okay, I'll recognize Councilwoman Herbie first.
Well, this is like one of the first years, so we can't really tell if there's a trend. So we do want to keep monitoring this to see how things are going. There have also been some things that have been put on the back burner that we need to kind of take care of. And so that process will also continue over the next 2 years. But I am in agreement with you. At some point, if this trend holds, yes, I really would look at that as well.
I would concur with that those statements and the questions and the rationale. However, I think we need to hastily point out that this is just the first year. We're not nearly in a position to say, okay, it's fixed, because it's not. And I definitely don't want us giving the wrong impression that we're there already, because we're not there. And I believe that in the initial discussions with the finance department, they were looking at anywhere from a 3 to 5 year duration as to whether, before anything, before any definitive results could be looked upon. However, I agree that we do need to point out to our citizens that we, if anything, this is an early indication that the decisions that we had to make then were so far the right decision. Anything else to come before the body? Any other business to come before the body? Hearing none. As you probably noted in going through the reports, there appears, and I use that word guardedly, appears that there were no items on the agenda for the work session, but that's not necessarily the case. We will, at this point, bottom line is be prepared to show up for the work session next Monday as usual. If there's no other business before the council, Mr. Hodges.
I just want to be clear on one thing in terms of the agenda. We do have the one resolution
Yeah.
from Public Works.
Right.
There's, And I don't know if I gave the sheet, yes.
Well, that's why I said, it appeared that there may not have been any items, but there are items.
Right. And let me just clarify, since I mentioned it, we do have one resolution that action will need to be taken on. I don't know if it has to be on next Monday or not, but it's a joint resolution with Springdale. It's not a major item, but they're doing a road improvement project, and it affects us on Kemper Road from Ken to Southland. They would be the lead agent on this, so we normally pass a resolution to indicate that we're doing a joint project. So that's the one item that we know that relatively soon council would have to take action on.
We have a Ways and Means Committee meeting dealing with possible purchase of software. If the recommendation is to go ahead on that, would that be on a work session, and if so, above or below a line?
It would be on a work session, yes. And it would probably be below the line, depending on the number of items that we have.
Anything else for the good of the order? Hearing none, we're adjourned.